Look at this. The fluidity of the motion, the smoothness of the animation. This is something that, to me, makes me want to watch it, to be entranced by it. If I took this moment and had to say that I found a single flaw, I would say, does no one know what the hell a sports bra is? Heck, I'm a guy. I don't even use them, but I know what they are and how useful they can be, specifically for sports, hence the name, sports bra. But I forgot that sometimes anime is made by people that like to think with their dicks. So sure, let's have one of the most incredibly talented badminton players have a larger than average chest and then just decide to not wear a bra that day. Makes total sense. This first reaction is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. So let's start off with some context. I am not a sports person, right? I used to joke back in the day, back in high school, that I only enjoy sports that involve a controller. But let's be honest, that's not even true because button mashing while playing Melee doesn't really count as a sport either. I don't really follow much live sports either, whether it be like sports or like esports, or what have you. Like, I'll tell you, if you ask me, that I am a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs for hockey. But since I don't actively follow them, this is just so that when they ever eventually make it back to the cup, that I can happily say I've been a fan with them without wavering, unlike some other people who will just jump the bandwagon constantly. But I can say that sports in anime has been something that I have had a passive enjoyment with. Unlike real sports, the anime versions that I like to watch have characters and stories that help elevate the stakes in the game far more for me than just the sport itself. They give me a reason to care about the stakes in a game beyond some kind of blind devotion to a team or the sport itself. So it's a real shame when the overarching story is so garbage. Okay, maybe that came off a little strong, because Hanebado is not a bad show, despite having the word bad in the title, because haha, funny joke! No, the biggest problem with Hanebado is its overarching story, true. However, with that, we have been presented before us so far what I can see to be enough potential in the rest of the production to make up for that. So what is Hanebado actually about? Well, like many sports anime that I have watched, the story follows a badminton prodigy named Ayano Hanazaki, who, due to various factors in her life and backstory, has decided that badminton is no longer a thing that she wants to do. Trouble is, when you're a prodigy at something you don't want to do, you get other people who are passionate about this thing upset because you are not utilizing your potential, and it's a complete waste. Now, at the time of writing, this show is not done, and a lot of the show's story up until this point has been examining why Ayano does not want to play badminton, as well as the team's attempt to skirt around that. Which is a shame for a multitude of reasons. First being, Ayano's story is not good. Hell, Ayano is not a very good protagonist. I don't like her. Most of her motivations and problems revolve around her mom, and without spoiling too much, her mother is one of the worst people at parenting that I have seen since the last time I read a Clamp manga. Like, she's not like Medusa bad, but then again, this is supposed to be a semi-grounded in reality story about a high school sports team, so there are limitations on how bad this mom could be, and she skirts the line real hard. So now, the motivations of the show's protagonist pull us out of the narrative for just how insane this concept is, and the reasons that this is annoying is twofold, because the wrapping of the show far exceeds the story that it's trying to tell, and the fact that in episode 1 we are given a much better story that the narrative quickly pushes aside. Like, first, I shouldn't have to talk about how gorgeous the animation for this series can be. You saw it at the top of the video. You're seeing it now. This is probably one of the best animated series of this season, without too much question, and a decent contender for Best of Year in the same regard. But in episode 1, the story focuses a lot not on the character of Ayano, but on the high school team captain, Nagisa. Nagisa, barring the aforementioned problems with wardrobe, is a much better character. She has her own problems at the start, sure, but they are problems that are quickly dealt with narratively, which leads to massive development of her character. only then to push her to the sidelines and to make way for Mama's girl Ayano and her prodigy plot. Nagisa is quickly and unceremoniously moved into the supporting character role, which is somewhat confusing for me considering her prominence at the show's start. Why start so heavily with Nagisa, only to then pivot within 2 episodes? Makes no sense. Hopefully the remaining episodes rectify this, and that hope is why I'm not totally sold on dropping the series. Like, I have been harping on it for the last couple of minutes, but there were several times during my watch through of these few episodes that we have where I was really gripped by that episode's story, where I was excited to see where it was going. So here's how I'll try to explain it. The show's overall plot, as it has been presented to us, is not good. I really don't like Ayano as a character, and her backstory is not all that moving. It's reached that point of horribleness that rips me out of any immersion I might have by thinking that there's no way a parent can be that bad. But that said, the show has been very good with its one-off episodic stories, the thrilling sections of plot that are focused on very particular moments, the matches between players, for example. Like, even if the motivations for these matches and these moments are tied to that overarching mess of a narrative, the show knows how to pull me into the story, right? It just doesn't have any idea how to keep me there. It grips me to the screen with these tense battles of personality between the characters, and then it loses me when the characters are quickly pulled into a bathhouse for the censored tits and unnecessary fan service. There is this whiplash here that stops me from truly enjoying the good parts of what this show has to offer. But because I see those good moments, and because I feel that tension at times, I don't think that I'm willing to give up on the series just yet. Like, I can see the possible end of the line. The possible end of the line where the train that is this show falls off a cliff because that backstory has to be dealt with eventually, and I can't see right now how they're going to be able to deal with that in a satisfying way. But hell, I'll probably keep taking the bait anyways for the amount of effort and passion that I see being put into this animation. Because if nothing else, my god, is this series beautiful. So that's where I stand, right? There are many problems with Hanebado, and I honestly don't think that it'll fix them by the end of this series, but there is still enough there that's stopping me from writing it off entirely. It's frustrating, I'll tell you that. So if you're interested in this potential train wreck of a show, then you can go and watch it on Crunchyroll if you have access to it, with a simuldub version available from Funimation, and links will be down below in the description, as per usual. Thank you for joining me on this first reaction. Let me know down in the comments what you have been following this season, and maybe I will see it. Maybe I'll be like, that is amazing, I should do something and talk about this show, and then I might. We'll have to see. And a very special thank you to all of my patrons who make these videos possible. You guys are amazing. So until next time, watch more anime, and stay frosty. Later.